Hi, this is Katie of Creative Courage Designs, and I got one of my random requests from a friend who knows I like to do a little bit of creative everything, so I take it as a personal challenge to see if I could do it. They wanted a memorial paver or stepping stone for a beloved grandfather who had just left. So I found a stepping stone, and they had some ideas about the text, and they did the text and had some ideas about the design. Anyway, I pulled up a design for them, drew it up, they got excited about it. So this design is part vinyl, part paint, part Sharpie. Anyway, but of course it's gonna be outside, and so it needed some kind of clear coating. So for the first time, I'm trying this heavy duty glaze coat. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing right here, but I mixed it. That's the timer that says my mixing is done. Anyway, you mix two solutions together for 6 minutes, and then you pour it into another cup and mix it again. So my second set of 6 minutes is over. I've never done this before, so I'm a teeny bit nervous, but let's see what happens. Okay, mixing's done. It's a little bit warm, which it's supposed to be. Let's see what happens. Now they say pour it directly in the middle and pushing it around. Now I'm hopeful that it won't mess with my paint or marker, actually, and you're just supposed to let it drip off the corners, or drip off the edges rather, because I do want it coated completely, and push it around a little bit. So I'm hoping I made enough to let that happen. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the stick I was mixing with to try to help it along. They suggest a scraper or a trowel or some kind of squeegee, which I don't really have on hand, and everything you use has to be disposable. I didn't want to ruin one of my kitchen squeegees, so. And it should be self-leveling while it's still warm. So I'm going to push it to the edges and let it self-level and let it drip. It says I have about 15 to 20 minutes to work it before it starts to harden. So we're definitely getting some side drippage, which is fine. And I've got a couple of brushes handy to help smooth that out so the sides are coated fully. So the side next to the camera, you should see that dripping. This is kind of cool. So far it doesn't show any evidence of messing. I was worried that some of my Sharpie lines would end up getting blurred. And it doesn't look like that's happening, which makes me very happy. Okay, just encouraging more side dripping so it's not too heavy on top. And yeah, it seems to be everywhere I'm kind of scraping it away. I'm not touching the stone, I'm just kind of touching the surface. But it just seems to be, like it suggests, leveling itself. I was also a little worried about bubbles. And as I was mixing it, there's just tiny, tiny, tiny little bubbles, and those seem to be disappearing. There's a few larger bubbles, but I'm kind of, with my pushing, they're mostly popping. It did say that if I need to, after the fact, or after I'm done spreading, that you can use a torch to help eliminate the bubbles. But it looks like I may not have to do that, which is marvelous, because I don't have a torch. I actually have a hairdryer handy, in case that's helpful at all. Now I'm smoothing out the drips on the sides so that the sides are also healed. And that seems to be working just fine. Okay, now I have a couple brushes handy. I've got a sponge brush, and I also have a bristle brush, and I'm wondering which would be best. Sometimes sponge brushes create more bubbles, so I think I'm going to try the bristle brush first to help smooth out, whoops, I said bristle brush and grabbed the wrong one. So I'm going to try a bristle brush. Yeah, that seems to be doing it. Just grabbing those drips and spreading them around on the sides. So far, so good. I've got my little KK logo there, if you can see it. One thing it did say on the packaging was that this kind of clear coating doesn't always hold up the greatest in really hot temperatures. So I'm going to encourage the customer to at least put this, if it is going outside, which I assume it is, to put it in a shaded area. Okay, now the bristles, a couple of the bristles, this is heavy enough that it's pulling some bristles out of my brush. So lessen there. Make sure your brush is a little bit tougher than mine, I guess. Anyway, I'm able to scrape them off and it's fine, but okay. I think I just about got it. Don't want to leave any, I want to get a full seal. Now, the bottles were big enough that I only used, looks like maybe 1/3 of each bottle for one coat on this stone. I'm going to let it cure and see how that looks. And it suggested that maybe 2 coats would be best. So if it cures well, I might try a second coat just to see how that goes. I am really pretty happy with how this looks. I don't see any bubbles that bug me. And all my edges seem covered. The top looks really good. There's a little bit of bubbles right there. I'm just gonna kind of tap them out, and that seems to be sufficient. Hey, not bad. Okay. I will let that cure and let you know how it looks when it's all done. Fun, fun, fun.